Hey Krishna. Welcome back to our online Bhagavad Gita reading retreat lab. So, in the last three sessions, we have covered from verse number 1 to verse number 18 of chapter 10, which is basically we call it Vibhuti Yoga as well, or in English, the opulence of the absolute. So, in today's session, we are going to cover the verse number 19 till 42. So total we have 42 slokas and we will complete this chapter today. So before we go to the our study, and we will just quickly have a glance on what this verse number 19 to 42 is all about. So this all of these verses explains Krishna's opulences. So here in this, Krishna summarizes all of his 82 opulences. He given just to give an example, and after that he explains that by explaining all of these opulences, he tells, he indicates his glories, and he pervades and supports the entire universe, and it is just a mere fragment of his total potency. So we should not think that Krishna is only having this 82 opulences. He has a lot many things, but just a glance. So now let's go back to the Veda base and we will read from verse number 19 to verse number 10.42. As usual, we will not be going through the sloka and the word meaning. Rather, we will focus on translation and the purport only. So let's get started. The verse number 19 of chapter 10. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent. O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. Purport. It is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so realizable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies, the pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradhanyataha, principle, is very important here because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all, and vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amar Coast dictionary, it is stated that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalist or pantheist cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestation of his divine energies. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, his energies are distributed in every variety of manifestations. Now, Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus, part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 20. Translation. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha. which means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. Thus, this address by Krishna to Arjuna is significant because Arjuna is above such darkness, the personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences. Krishna first informs Arjuna that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestations by dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Purusha incarnation, and from him everything begins. Therefore, he is Atma, the soul of the Mahatattva, the universal elements. The total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahatattva, the total material energy. He is the soul. When Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes, he again manifests himself as a super soul in each and every entity. We have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, the body cannot develop. Similarly, the material manifestations cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters. As stated in the Subala Upanishad, Prakriti Adi Sarva Bhutale Yami Sarva Seshi Sha Narayanaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as a super soul in all manifested universes. The three Purusha avatars are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in Narada Pancharatra, one of the Satvata Tantras. Vishnu stu Trinirpani Puru Shakhyantho Viduhu. The Supreme Personality of God has manifests the three features as Karanadakshayi Vishnu, Garbhadakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. In this material manifestation, the Mahavishnu or Karanadakshayi Vishnu is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.47. Yah Karana Naramba Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal manifestations, and the end of all energy. So, what we have studied, read in these two verses, verse number 19 and 20, just to summarize. So here, Krishna basically describes only the most prominent of his opulences because his opulences are unlimited. He is the all-pervading super soul and the beginning. He is the middle and the end of all the entities. So now with that note, we will move to the next verse. That is your chapter number 10, verse number 21. Translation. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Purport. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief. And in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity Marichi represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun, the moon illuminates. So also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. Now we will go to the next verse, that is your chapter number 10, verse number 22. Translation. Of the Vedas, I am the Samved. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Purport. The difference between matter and spirit is that matter has no consciousness like the living entity. Therefore, this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by a combination of matter. Next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 23. Translation. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kubera. Of the Basus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. Purport. There are 11 Rudras, of whom Sankara, Lord Shiva, is predominant. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leader of the Yakshas and Rakshasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods, and he is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is a mountain famed for its rich natural resources. Now we will move to the next verse, that is chapter number 10, verse number 24. Translation. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Purport. Indra is the chief demigod of the heavenly planets and is known as the king of the heavens. The planet on which he reigns is called Indraloka. Brihaspati is Indra's priest, and since Indra is the chief of all kings, Brihaspati is chief of all priests. And as Indra is the chief of all kings, similarly Skanda or Kartikeya, the son of Parvati and Lord Shiva, is the chief of all military commanders. And of all bodies of water, the ocean is the greatest. These representations of Krishna only give hints of his greatness. We will go to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 25. Translation. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Purport. Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several suns for the propagation of various kinds of species. Among these suns, Bhrigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibrations, Om, Omkara, represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and purest, and the purest. Whatever is the sublime in the world is the representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas, the greatest mountains in the world, also represent him. The mountain named Meru was mentioned in a previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable, whereas the Himalayas are never movable. Thus, the Himalayas are greater than Meru. So we will move to the next verse. That is your chapter number 10, verse number 26. Translation. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Purport. The banyan tree, Ashwatha, is one of the highest and most beautiful trees. and people in India often worship it as one of the daily morning rituals. Amongst the demigods, they also worship Narada, who is considered the greatest devotee in the universe. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. The Gandharva planet is filled with entities who sing beautifully, and among them, the best singer is Chitraratha. Amongst the perfect living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is a representative of Krishna. He is considered an incarnation of Krishna, and his philosophy is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, another Kapila became famous, but his philosophy was atheistic. Thus, there is a gulf of difference between them. Now, with this, we will move to the next verse. That is your chapter number 10, verse number 27. Translation. Of horses know me to be Uchesvaraba, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavata, and among men, I am the monarch. Purport. The devotee demigods and demons, Asuras, once took part in churning the sea. From this churning, nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva drank the poison. From the nectar were produced many entities, of which there was a horse named Vicheshava. Another animal produced from the nectar was an elephant named Airavata. Because these two animals are produced from nectar, they have special significance and they are representatives of Krishna. Amongst the human beings, the king is the representative of Krishna because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe, and the kings who are appointed on account of their godly qualifications are maintainers of their kingdoms. Kings like Maharaja Yudhishthir, Maharaja Parikshit, and Lord Rama were all highly righteous kings who always thought of the citizens' welfare. In Vedic literature, the king is considered to be the representative of God. In this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy is decayed and is now finally abolished. It is to be understood that in the past, however, people were more happy under righteous kings. So with this, now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 28. Translation. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Survi. Of goddess of procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. And of serpents, I am Basuki. Purport. The thunderbolt, indeed a mighty weapon, represents Krishna's power. In Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, there are cows which can melt at any time, and they give as much as milk as one likes. Of course, such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is a mention of them in Krishna Loka. The Lord gives many such cows, which are called Suravi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Suravi cows. Kandarpa is the sex desired for representative good sons. Therefore, Kandarpa is the representative of Krishna. Sometimes sex is engaged in only for sense gratification. Such sex doesn't represent Krishna, but sex for the generation of good children is called Kandarpa and represents Krishna. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 29. Translation. Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispenser of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Purport. Among the many hooded Naga serpents, Ananta is the greatest, as is the demigod Varuna among the aquatics. They both represent Krishna. There is also a planet of Pita's ancestors preceded over by Aryama, who represents Krishna. There are many living entities who give punishment to the miscreants, and among them, Yama is a chief. Yama is situated in a planet near this earthly planet. After death, those who are very sinful are taken there, and Yama arranges different kinds of punishments for them. Now we will move to the next verse. That is your chapter number 10, verse number 30. Translation. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlada. Among subduers, I am Time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among bards, I am Garuda. Purport. Diti and Aditi are two sisters. The sons of Aditi are called Adityas, and the sons of Ditis are called Daityas. All the Adityas are devotees of the Lord, and all the Daityas are atheistic. Although Prahlada was born in the family of the Daityas, he was a great devotee from his childhood. Because of his devotional service and godly nature, he is considered to be a representative of Krishna. There are many subduing principles, but time wears down all things in the material universe and so represents Krishna. Of the many animals, the lion is the most powerful and ferocious, and of the million varieties of birds, Garuda, the bearer of Lord Vishnu, is the greatest. Now we will move to the next verse, that is chapter number 10, verse number 31. Translation. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the builders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the Sark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Purport. Of all the aquatics, the Sark is one of the biggest and is certainly the most dangerous to man. Thus, the Sark represents Krishna here. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 32. Translation. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. And among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Purport. Among the created manifestations, the first is the creation of the total material elements. As explained before, the cosmic manifestations is created and conducted by Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And then again, it is annihilated by Lord Shiva. Brahma is the secondary creator. All these agents of creation, maintenance, and annihilation are incarnations of the material qualities of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all creation. For advanced education, there are various kinds of books of knowledge, such as the four Vedas. There are six supplements, the Vedanta Sutra, books of logic, books of religiosity, and the Puranas. So altogether, there are 14 divisions of books of education. Of this, the book which represents Adhyatma Vidya, spiritual knowledge, in particular, the Vedanta Sutra, represents Krishna. Among logicians, there are different kinds of argument. Supporting one's argument with evidence that also supports the opposing side is called Jalpa. Merely trying to defeat one's opponent is called Vitanda, but the actual conclusion is called Bada. This conclusive truth is a representation of Krishna. So with this, we will move to the next verse. That is your chapter number 10, verse number 33. Translation. Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. And I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma. Purport. Uh, Akara, the first letter of Sanskrit alphabet, is the beginning of the Vedic literature. Without Akara, nothing can be sounded. Therefore, it is the beginning of sound. In Sanskrit, there are also many compound words, of which the dual word like Rama Krishna is called Dvandva. In this compound, the words Rama and Krishna have the same form, and therefore the compound is called dual. Among all kinds of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. Time is the representative of Krishna because in due course of time, there will be a great fire and everything will be annihilated. Among the living entities who are creators, Brahma, who has four heads, is the chief. Therefore, he is a representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 34. Translation: I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am pain, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. As soon as a man is born, he dies at every moment. Thus, death is devouring every living entity at every moment. But the last stroke is called death itself. The death is Krishna. As for future development, all living entities undergo six basic changes. They are born, they grow, they remain for some time, they reproduce, they dwindle, and finally they vanish. Of these changes, the first deliverance from the womb, and that is Krishna. The first generation is the beginning of all future activities. The seven opulences listed, fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, are considered feminine. If a person possesses all of them or some of them, he becomes glorious. If a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. Sanskrit is a perfect language and is therefore very glorious. If after studying one can remember a subject matter, he is gifted with a good memory or smriti, and the ability not only to read many books on different subject matters, but to understand them and apply them when necessary is intelligence, medha. Another opulence, the ability to overcome unsteadiness is called firmness or steadfastness, dhriti. And when one is fully qualified yet is humble and gentle, and when one is able to keep his balance both in sorrow and in the ecstasy of joy, he has the opulence called patience, Kyama. Now we will move to the next verse, which is chapter number 10, verse number 35. Translation: of the hymns in the Samved, I am the Brihasama, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Margasira, November, December. And of seasons, I am flower bearing spring. Purport: it has already been explained by the Lord that amongst all the Vedas, he is the Samved. The Samved is rich with beautiful songs played by the various demigods. One of these songs is the Brihasama, which has an exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate poetry. Rhyme and meter are not written whimsically, as in much modern poetry. Amongst the regulated poetry, the Gayatri Mantra, which is chanted by the duly qualified Brahmanas, is the most prominent. The Gayatri Mantra is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam because the Gayatri Mantra is specially meant for God realization. It represents the Supreme Lord. This mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people, and when one attains success in chanting it, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must first acquire the qualities of the perfectly situated person, the qualities of goodness according to the laws of material nature in order to chant the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra is very important in Vedic civilization and is considered to be the sound incarnation of Brahman. Brahma is its initiator and it is passed down from him in disciplic succession. The month of November December is considered the best of all months because in India, grains are collected from the fields at this time and the people become very happy. Of course, spring is the season universally liked because it is neither too hot nor too cold. And the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring, there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons. And it is the representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now we will move to the next verse, chapter number 10, verse number 36. Translation: I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. Purport: there are many kinds of cheaters all over the universe. Of all cheating processes, gambling stands supreme and therefore represents Krishna. As a supreme, Krishna can be more deceitful than any mere man. If Krishna chooses to deceive a person, no one can surpass him in his deceit. His greatness is not simply one-sided, it is all-sided. Among the victorious is the victory. He is the splendor of the splendid. Among the enterprising and industrious, he is the most enterprising, the most industrious. Among adventurers, he is the most adventurous, and among the strong, he is the strongest. When Krishna was present on earth, no one could surpass him in strength. Even in his childhood, he lifted Govardhana hill. No one can surpass him in cheating. No one can surpass him in slender. No one can surpass him in victory. No one can surpass him in enterprise. And no one can surpass him in strength. Now we'll move to the next verse. This is chapter number 10, verse number 37. Translation. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among great thinkers, I am Ushana. Purport. Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead, and Baladeva is Krishna's immediate expansion. Both Lord Krishna and Baladev appeared as sons of Vasudeva, so both of them may be called Vasudeva. From another point of view, because Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, all the forms of Krishna that appear elsewhere are his expansions. Vasudev is Krishna's immediate expansion. So Vasudev is not different from Krishna. It is to be understood that the Vasudev referred to the in this verse of Bhagavad Gita is Baladev or Balaram because he is the original source of all incarnations and thus he is the sole source of Vasudev. The immediate expansions of the Lord are called Swansa, Swansa, personal expansions, and there are also expansions called Vivinansa. So Swansa and Vivinansa. Vivinansa refers to separate expansions. Amongst the sons of Pandu, Arjuna is famous as Dhananjaya. He is the best man and therefore represents Krishna. Among the Munis or learned men, conversant in Vedic knowledge, Vyasa is the greatest because he explained Vedic knowledge in many different ways for understanding of the common mass people in this age of Kali. And Vyasa is also known as an incarnation of Krishna. Therefore, Vyasa also represents Krishna. Kavish are those who are capable of thinking thoroughly on any subject matter. Among Kavis, Ushana Sukracharya was a spiritual master of the demons. He was an extremely intelligent and far-seeing politician. The Sukracharya is another representative of the opulence of Krishna. Now we'll move to the next verse, that's verse number, chapter number 10, verse number 38. Translation. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment, and of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence, and of the wise, I am the wisdom. Purport. There are many suppressing agents, of which the most important are those that cut down miscreants. When miscreants are punished, the agency of chastisement represents Krishna. Among those who are trying to be victorious in some field of activity, the most victorious element is morality. Among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence one can make progress very quickly. The wise man is he who can discriminate between matter and spirit, between God, superior and inferior natures. Such knowledge is Krishna himself. We will move to the next verse, chapter 10, verse number 39, translation. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. Purport. Everything has a cause, and that cause or seed of manifestation is Krishna. Without Krishna's energy, nothing can exist. Therefore, he is called omnipotent. Without his potency, neither the movable nor the immovable can exist. Whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not. So to summarize from verse number 21 to 39, we have seen various opulences of Krishna. Now with this understanding, now we will move to the next verse, that is your chapter number 10, verse number 40 in the next session. So we have seen in this particular section that so 40 to 42 are left. These three we will learn now. So chapter number 10, verse number 40. Translation. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energy of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there is no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples are being described to Arjuna to specify his inquisitiveness. Now we'll move to the next verse. This is chapter number 10, verse number 41. Translation. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Purport. Any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. Now we will move to the next or the last verses of this particular chapter, chapter number 10, verse number 42. Translation. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by his entering into all things as the super soul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as super soul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead to one to the supreme personality of Godhead or the supreme goal. But worship of demigod is thoroughly discouraged herein because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is Asabudhava, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with the demigod, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the super soul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees therefore concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 through 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of God has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great acharya in disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, Yad Shakti Lesa Surya Bhavantyatya Ugra Tejasa, Yad Amshena Dhritam Vishwam, Sa Krishna Dasamir Chete. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets his power, and by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Krishna is worshipable. Thus, and the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the opulence of the Absolute. So, with this, we completed the chapter number 10. So, just to summarize from a memory perspective, so we have seen that Krishna is the fourth things we have seen. Krishna is the origin of everything. So that we have seen in the verse number 1 to verse number 7. So we have also seen the entire summary section of Bhagavad Gita in terms of four slokas, in which is also known as Chatusloki Gita. Chatu means four. So that we have seen in sloka or verse number 8 to 11. Then we have seen Arjuna's acceptance and request in verse number 12 to 18. And towards the end, we have seen various, there are different opulences of Krishna, which are summarized in your verse number 19 to 48. So with this, we are completing this chapter. So in the next session, we will start with the chapter number 11. So we will now stop here. Hare Krishna.